a newspaper headline. The mystery of UFOs are solved. UFOs do not come from outer space, but are Nazis who want to create a new Reich. Governments of the world are informed but afraid. If there is a serious economic crisis, they are afraid the Nazis will come with the flying saucers.
It is not only flying saucers that have been seen, but also flying cigars. Huge spaceships shaped like a cigar. These could be the motherships. The idea of a mothership was developed in Germany in 1944, or possibly earlier. This project was called Andromeda. They were 109 meters long, powered by 4 Tula engines. They were designed to carry 1 Honeyboo and a few Vril. This is an example of a construction plan, very rarely seen. This photograph of the mothership with UFOs emerging is from George Adamski. George Adamski also saw a Honeyboo-type spacecraft. He claimed they came from Venus. For comparison, here is a computer-generated replica of the Honeyboo 2. This is a CIA paper from 1952 requiring all UFOs to be reported to the military. The CIA recommends to security advisors what information may go to the press in order to avoid panic. Almost all photographs from then on have been censored. About that time, a movie called Earth vs. Flying Saucers was released, but very soon disappeared. This had extraordinary special effects and has only recently turned up in local video stores. This German news clip is a report that an American farmer who witnessed the landing of a flying saucer claimed that the occupants spoke German. The farmer was arrested. The strange markings on this spacecraft show drawings similar to the swastika. Adamski had a friend who also saw flying saucers landing. He was a relative of Winston Churchill. His name was Desmond Leslie. Adamski and Leslie were not arrested. From then on, sources looking like Ahanibu 2 were thought to come from Venus. The origin of the many types of UFOs seen in almost every country on the planet remains a question. It is interesting to note the very great interest shown by the German military before and during the war in the Antarctic continent and the South Pole. In 1938, as Germany was strongly preparing for war, Captain Richter led an Antarctic expedition. He was sent there by Hermann Goering. This top-secret expedition was directed to ice-free parts of the Antarctic. The German part of Antarctica was called Neuswabenland. These positions are where German flags were erected. This is a document of gratitude signed by Hermann Goering. At the height of the Second World War, Admiral Dönitz, the submarine warfare expert, made a very secret mission to move the so-called Last Battalion. This is a list of nearly 100 U-boats which remain unaccounted for. From the serial numbers in the left-hand column, we can see that this is not a random list, but a complete series of U-boats which have disappeared. There is evidence of a number of secret bases in the Antarctic. This is a statue of Marduk. More of him later. Admiral Karl Dönitz and the President of the Third Reich signed the surrender documents which ended World War II in May 1945. But they never surrendered the Third Reich itself. So officially Germany never surrendered. And this raises the possibility that there may still be German forces in the Antarctic. At the beginning of the war in 1939, Hitler said that if Germany was overrun, the fight would continue from outside. Perhaps we need not place any special significance to this remark. During 1952 in Washington there was panic. You can see from these photographs of a radar screen UFOs flying in formation. They went straight over the White House. A number of radar surveillance centres had the same alarming images on their screens. This was July 1952. Some years prior to that, in 1946 and 1947, Admiral Byrd undertook a US Navy invasion of Antarctica disguised as a scientific expedition. It had the code name High Jump. After preparations in the previous year, Operation High Jump started on the 30th of February 1947. And yet on the 4th of March, after the disappearance of several aircraft, the expedition was cancelled. Although the details have never been published, Admiral Byrd said that objects were able to fly from one pole to the other, and it was necessary to defend ourselves against flying machines from the Antarctic. This is a sketch from the German magazine Spiegel indicating the flying patterns of UFOs. A New Zealand airline pilot, Bruce Cathy, observed similar patterns over New Zealand. In 1958, the Americans sent a major expedition to the Antarctic, during which on the 27th of August, the 30th of August and the 9th of September, there is evidence that nuclear missiles were fired at Neusbadenland, the German territory. This could be linked to the holes in the ozone layer in the Antarctic today. There are parts of a report of a kamikaze operation being a joint German-Japanese expedition in the WWII to the planet Mars. A WWII with a diameter of 71 metres is claimed to have enough power to travel the 75 million kilometres the distance from Earth to Mars. There is a 1945 report that the SS Department D4 decided to make this journey. This would have been a one-way trip, unless they received help along the way or at the other end of the journey. In this latter part of the war, the level of desperation was sufficient to try anything that could change the fate of Germany. The WWII was supposed to reach Mars in 8.5 months, in January 1946. The WWII was the only craft which had the speed to reach Mars, and yet if it did arrive, there's no evidence of